Hello, friends.
Hello.
And welcome to Mad Notions. I'm Nathan Reagan. This is
Mick McCullough.
This is Mad Notions. Welcome to the show. If you are a long-time listener, welcome back. If you're new,
Hello.
Thank you for joining us. And also, you can just a couple of important things up top. Bits of housekeeping. You can watch all these episodes. The link is in the description. It's the first line of the description of the audio podcasts. So if you're listening just audio, if you check the description, there'll be a link that says click here
And you'll
watch
get to see us in front of our fancy new neon sign.
our fancy new neon sign, which we are very, very pleased with. I certainly am. Also, you can join our Facebook group, which is also in the description of this episode. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, any of that stuff.
You can donate us on Patreon.
You can donate to us on Patreon, indeed, which helps us buy things like cool neon signs.
We're going to have full neon suits this time next year.
We will. It is on the bucket list. So yeah, just click those links. If you want to get in touch, the podcast email is in the description as well, which is madnotions.
Everything's in the description.
It's all in the description.
All the links. Everything you could want to be a part of this. It's all in the links.
It's all there. Everything you need. So check it out and enjoy the episode, and we'll see you next week with this exact same message at the top of the show.
Nailed it.
We did it. We did it.
We did it.
Class. Hello.
Cool. Hello. How are you?
I'm very well, thanks. How are you?
I'm bescarfed like yourself.
I feel like the longer I'm sitting here, the warmer I'm getting.
Yeah. I turned off the radiator as well because plugs are scared.
To make it warmer?
Yeah. Well, just keep us on our toes.
Yeah, well, true, yeah. If we get too warm, we might just nod off.
True. It's nice to be back in the sober light of day.
It is.
Or sober dark of the night.
Dark of vault. Yeah.
What a night that was last week.
It was fucking great.
This will probably only be out in the new year now, actually. So happy New Year, everyone!
Yeah, I absolutely.
And
yeah.
I hope you had a brilliant birthday.
Thank you so much. Cheers. I spent it gigging in Clonakilty.
And how was the gig?
Grand, I think. So far, yeah. Right enough, yeah. Because this was, yeah. They've got two back. Yeah, you're right. Correct,
well, Nathan,
correct.
New year, new me. That's what I say.
Where have you heard that before? If you skim back to January of any of our previous years,
there'll be no leaning back from me in 2022.
Why is that?
Because you're always giving out to me about leaning back.
Oh, literally leaning back. I thought you meant like taking your foot off the gas.
Well, I've actually, on that, I've decided to take a more proactive approach to bringing content.
Okay.
To the podcast. So
okay.
I'm introducing a new segment.
Great.
Called Things I Have Noticed.
Okay. Okay.
Now, you know me, and you know I don't notice a lot of things.
I do notice that about you.
And you'll notice that the things that I do notice, I often pretend not to notice.
I also notice that, and that's
just
very infuriating.
Yeah, for the sake of an easier life.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But no more.
You don't like, yeah.
Because I have noticed something.
What is it?
And I think it needs to be addressed.
Okay. I assume this is directed at me.
No. It's
What's
to the
general
general
deal with the glider?
Yeah, well, we're getting into that territory. This is to the general public. At the skip.
Okay. It was only ever going to be one of two things.
Have you ever noticed when you go to the skip, no matter what skip you go to, and I go to a lot of skips or dumps, as there
or car boot sales, as Mick likes to call them.
I find myself offloading a lot of glass bottles.
I'm sure you do.
Yeah. After a couple of weeks of driving them around in the back of the car, which is why I go to different skips, because I'll find myself near one in town. I'll make sure I have a boot full of rubbish.
And it's not for the shame of being seen at the same one.
And they all start going, right, well, Mick.
Yeah, there he is with this full boot of glass bottles.
Well, this actually ties in nicely, because I've never had a negative experience at the skip. It's always been a fairly routine / positive experience.
I've always had a great time.
I've always found the staff helpful.
Okay.
I've always found other dumpers quiet and polite.
Yeah.
And often helpful as well if you're...
That's how I like my dumpers as well.
Yeah. But yet, every skip / dump you go to / recycling centre, it says, there's signs saying, abuse of staff will not be tolerated here.
Okay.
And it is uniform across every recycling centre I've been
That's
to.
true, I have seen that.
What's happening at these recycling centres, Nathan, is what I want to know. Because are people Is there something about the recycling process that's making people
Well, because
violent?
every dump is different, and so so between me, like I'm almost equidistant from Ard's recycling centre and Bangor recycling centre, and let me tell you, they do things differently in Ard's.
Tell me more.
Well, in Bangor, like you have to like queue up, and then there's like a kind of like a window that you have to stop at, and there's a
You
barrier.
don't say farewell to your rubbish.
And this is Marcus.
You know, reminisce about the times you spent together. Remember when I used to sit on you all the time, chair?
But yeah, there's like there's
A
like
reflection period. That's
yeah,
what,
of course.
yeah,
It's well, like almost literally, yeah, because you have to basically tell the man what's in the car, and then he trusts you implicitly and sends you to one of 6 bays, and then some of them maybe don't have a space for wood, so I guess like that must be what he's things like that
Yeah.
are like what he's.
And at no time during that interaction would you have felt the need to
Fuck
abuse him.
you! I'll go to bay 4, dickhead. It's my favorite bay. But there has been times where, I know I've learnt my lesson since, which is that, if you're bringing something to the dump and you know that there's not a place for it at the dump, just don't tell them that you have it in the car, because they don't search the car. But I think they almost have to be seen to be taking a stand on, oh, we don't do that here. But if everything is in black bags,
What are you trying to dump that they won't take?
just bodies. But if everything's in black bags, I funny enough, I can't think of a good example of what I'm talking about. But like
Toxic waste.
But in Ards, they just wave you in. There's not even anybody there, and you can just leave anything wherever you want. I'm sure they'd rather you didn't do that. But all I'm saying is what you can do.
You're such a council tout.
Yeah, sorry guys. Yeah, I mean, I can't really imagine a scenario. But you see signs like that everywhere. But then,
I think I always see them at the dump, and I think who would
But people are-
besmirch such a sacred and beautiful and wonderful experience?
but people are terrible. That's why. You know what I mean? It's just like, I mean, you see it at like less surprising places to see it would be Sainsbury's. You know what I mean? They have the or oh, I'm gonna turn that on airplane mode. That's cool.
Cool.
It only took us an hour and a half to set up, Mick, and I nearly had it all fucking perfect.
Would you like me to vamp?
Vamp away. This is on airplane.
So as I was saying, recycling centres. We didn't get to the bottom of it. I guess we'll never know. But I just think there should be no need for those signs in the first place. To me, the dump is a euphoric place.
Euphoric?
Yeah.
What would...
It's cathartic. Cathartic, maybe.
Yeah, that may be the right word. What?
Surely you should be hugging and weeping with joy.
That these people would take your
These
rubbish.
custodians.
I mean, if I've seen enough HBO in my life, and I have, you should just be glad that they're not all in the mafia, and that there's no bodies there that you know of.
Unless you count Ards. Where
Yeah.
they'll take any old shit, apparently.
Apparently so, yeah, that's true.
Anyway, that's my segment, things that I've noticed.
I'm glad.
Thanks for indulging.
It's been a real thinker.
If you've noticed things,
So you can send them.
Yeah, send them in. Things. Feel free to send in things you've noticed. You can put them on the Facebook group, or you can email us in madnotionspodcast@gmail.com. And the subject is things you may have noticed.
And as evidence, it doesn't have to be interesting. It just needs to be something you've noticed. That's the only criteria.
Let me guess, what have you noticed this week? Somebody being a cunty at a gig?
Yeah, I have. Yeah, well, we're going to jump right in then. I had what I think is the top 3 most. I actually can't think of one that was more stressful. I'm going to be honest, right? So
It's so cold, isn't it?
it is cold,
But I'm here for it.
It is quite cold.
Your
So
secondhand rage will keep me toasty.
oh yeah. The fire I am about to breathe will fucking. You could toast a marshmallow off it.
So that's a big.
I actually can't remember a time that I've been more like fucked off for like a sustained amount of time at a gig. Like all these stories that I've ever told, I know that I sometimes take a half an hour to tell the story, but the moments themselves only last like.
You're a raconteur.
Yeah, I like to fluff it up a bit, you know. But
He knows I can't escape for at least an hour.
you will listen to my hardships. And it was all going grand. So Where to begin? So it was up. I don't mind naming the place because it wasn't their fault. It was up in the Jeggy Nettle in Stranmillis. I would normally do Thursday nights in there.
And you have been waxing lyrical about that gig to me.
Yes, and so my Thursdays have remained great. This was not on a Thursday night. They were stuck for someone on a Friday night, and asked could we go up and do like a 3-piece up there, and I was just like, yeah, no problem. So obviously it was going to be a very different gig than the Thursday gig, which is very relaxed, and we just kind of play things we like, and people are generally brilliant at it, and everyone's really, really nice, and we can play whatever we want. And I actually can't, honestly, if you ever wanted to come and see me play anywhere, specifically not playing my own music, but like if you just decided on a weekday that you wanted to come and see me play somewhere, it's where to go and see me, because it's certainly where I'm at my happiest, because it's just nice, like a fireplace, and there's like dogs about, and there's like it's just great. The staff are really nice, and it's just nice. It's just not in the middle of town. It's not a melt. But anyway, yeah. So we started playing. It was all grand. Now there's like there are two melters in this story, right? One was a guy. So we took a break. We played the first half. It was all going fine. It wasn't like bunged, and there wasn't really like a place to dance. So I wouldn't say we were playing like super upbeat stuff, but it certainly wasn't what we would play on a Thursday.
So what sort of stuff were you playing?
We were playing like fucking Tom Petty and like fucking Bill Withers, bit of Stevie Wonder, with Thin Lizzy. I mean, it wasn't like downbeat by any means. It was just, we were just taking our time with it.
Rocking within the confines.
Exactly. Keep on rocking in the confines. It's just like
in the comforting confines of a snug booth on a Friday evening.
The song by Neil Young's alter ego, Neil Old. Dean Old. There you go. There's my shit joke for the week. Already out of the way. Who feels freed by knowing that it can't get any worse than that? So stupid.
There was a moment there where we were suspended in the air, and I was like, "Is he going to say it?"
I didn't know I was going to say it. That's your comedy. That's your comedy brain. You already had it, and you'd already dismissed it. But I don't dismiss anything. I just go, well, look, it's in my head and it's coming out. So it was grand. Everyone was, I felt like, and they were in fact, and I feel like this is important to point out, everyone else in the bar seemed to be having a perfectly acceptable time, right? Bar staff were happy enough, the management were happy enough with what we were doing. It was all going grand. On my break, I went out to my car to get my vape, and I was just parked on the street, like outside there's like a little gate up into the place. And there was a lad that was on the phone, and he was just hanging up as I was coming back into the bar. And he goes, and he was from, I think, Cork as well. And he was like, "Here, are you in the band?" And I said, "Yes." I need to stop saying I was like. I've just heard it now. I was like, and then I was like, if you were playing Mad Notion's drinking game and that was one, you'd be flutered. Absolutely flutered by about 30 seconds in. Anyway.
You're going to enjoy the edit now after noticing that.
Yeah, just be real tough, like real sharp edits. Anyway, so he said, "Are you in the band?" I said, "Yes, I am." I said, and he said, "Oh man, you're great. Really, really enjoying myself." And that's where he could have left it. But he didn't. So
they never do.
So he goes, he was smoking a very long cigarette, and he was like, "No, you can tell me to fuck off." Which always is a sure sign that something class is about to be said. He's like, "You can tell me to fuck off. But can I give you a bit of advice?"
Oh, fuck me.
And I said,
I think I'll take you up on that first offer,
yeah,
sir.
I said, let me be very clear. I was like, I absolutely will tell you fuck off if I don't want to hear what you have to say. So, you've been warned.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, but I was like, if you really feel you must, and I can tell you're going to do it anyway, I was like, then lay it on me.
What I always respect about you, Nathan, is you put your cards on the table.
So, now I'd like to say before I get into this, and I had the option while retelling this to edit what I really said, and I've chosen not to, because this is how angry I got at this man. And I'll hold my hands up. I'm not painted in an incredibly favourable light here, but I was so fucking angry by the end of it, right? So, he said, this was our first and only break of the gig. He said, you have to stop taking so many breaks. And I was like, this is our first break. And he's like, no, you've been taking breaks all night. And I said, no, we haven't. And he goes, well, between every song, it's like, there's like nearly like a full minute or so between songs. And I was like, I'm going to stop you there. I was like, what's happening there now is that we're tuning the guitars. I was like, but if you'd prefer, we don't have to do that. If that would make you feel better, like if we just kept going straight through, we'll just not tune the guitars and it'll sound terrible. But you'll feel better. I was like, but just so you know that's what's happening. We're not just texting, you know, like we're at work. We understand.
This isn't a Son of the Hound show.
And then he kind of stopped in his tracks for a minute and goes, oh, do you know what? Fair point. And I thought that was it. I thought I'd fucking got him. I thought it was all over. But of course it wasn't. And he was like, no, but even, he was like, even at that now. He was like, it just takes a while, between stuff. And I was like, yeah, but it takes a while to tune a guitar. And he was like, he's like, I'll give it to you. That's a good point. Like, and I goes, well, I am a professional musician, so I'd know all about it. I was like, and it's like my job. So I'm not just fannying about just like between tunes. Like, I understand that, like, like if you book a wedding band, like wedding bands have a really good way of like kind of keeping everything moving going, or whatever. And I would say like even locally, like the Russian Dolls are really good at like keeping everything moving really well. But to be honest, like that's class if you can do it. But like, and maybe I'll admit maybe I should be better prepared with like what I'm going to play. For instance, that might speed things up. There's probably moments where we're like kind of going like, what will we do now? But like,
nah.
But I don't feel like I'm getting. Sorry, he's by the way about to make the most ridiculous comparison you've ever heard in your life, which I absolutely exploded at. But like if I was getting like $5,000 to be there, then I might have a bit of hustle about me. Like, but it's just a gig in a bar, like, you know what I mean. And
they were even put on a tie.
They might do if they really wanted and they requested it. And so then. So like Bruce Springsteen plays for 4 hours non-stop. And I was like, that's a great point. He also gets about $500,000 per show. I was like, now, if you want to give me $500,000 per show, I may have a guitar tech even on board and just hand me a guitar that's in tune. And I may even go so far as to have a set list ready. But I was like, until we're talking in those terms, that is a ridiculous comparison to make. Do you understand that? And he was like, well, he's like, but it's not. It's not. I was like, no, it is. It's completely ridiculous to expect me to be held to the same standard of professionalism as Bruce Springsteen. Like, that's such a ridiculous thing you're saying.
Springsteen ruining it for the rest of us.
Giving us all a bad name. So I was getting a bit sarcastic at this point. I was really losing the rag. I'm sure no one's surprised. But I was really... I began on the what I would call like the cheeky side of passive aggression. Mm-hmm. I would like to think of it as what I'm putting out there is I'm ready for this, and I'm going to give you every indication that this should stop while we're still laughing about it. Essentially, is kind of what I think I'm putting out there. It may not be what I'm.
I mean, it's a confusing message. I'm not really understanding it, so I can't imagine he was.
But do you know what I mean? Like,
Not
do
really.
you generally not? Like, so I'd be kind of going like, absolutely, man, absolutely. And I, like, you know, like when he said like, you can tell me to fuck off, and I was like, I will. I'll tell you to fuck off. I'll 100% tell you to fuck off. So are you sure you want to do this? You know, like I feel like I'm making it quite clear.
I got
well,
you.
things are still cool. So now when I said, he said something like, "Oh, fair point. I hadn't thought of that." And then I said, "Well, I am a professional musician, so I have thought about it." And then he goes, "Well, I'm a professional too." And I went, "Okay, well, what do you do?" And he said, "I do sound in a venue somewhere. I'll not name it." And I goes, "Okay, cool. So we do different jobs though?" And he was like, "Well, not really." I was like, "Well, only entirely though." I was like, "Because I couldn't do your job and you couldn't do my job. Nobody would book you in place of me, and nobody would book me in place of you. So your expertise is really not really relevant to my gig in the Jeggy Nettle in Stranmillis right now." Like, and he was like, "I think it is." I was like, "Well, I'd rather not stand here and debate it, because much kind of to your distaste probably if you weren't standing here, I'd like this break not to be too long. And now I'm standing here talking to you for fucking ever about how long my breaks are," which is very ironic. And he was listening, and he was like, "Look, we don't need to fall out over it." I was like, "We absolutely don't. All you have to do is stop talking. It can be over as soon as that if you just stop right now, and we can just go back into the bar and it can all be grand. But you have to stop telling me what to do, like, and why I'm a fucking failure or something. Like, what's the angle here? Like, you know what I mean?" And so he was like, you're taking me up wrong. You're taking me up. He's like, "I think these are great," but he's like, "But you just have a lot of work to do." He kept just like saying something good and then fucking making it worse, and saying something good and then making it worse. And I eventually just goes, "Mate, I'm going to leave you to it." I was like, "I'm going to leave you to it." Because honestly, and I mean this, he seems like he's a nice fella. He obviously had a couple of pints, but he wouldn't let me leave. Every time I tried to be like, "Anyway," he was like, "No, you're treating me like a cunt. You think you're just trying to get me to fuck off." And I was like, I am trying to get you to fuck off, because I don't want to fight with you, because you seem like you're probably a dead on guy, but you're being a dick right now, and I don't want to listen to you. And you're insisting that I listen to you, and I can't get away. You're holding me hostage in this fucking situation that I would rather get polio than be in. Can we just move on? Can we move on? Go back inside and enjoy your absolutely definitely by now flat pint. Get in the fuck, like." And he was like, fair enough, right? And I thought that was over. It wasn't, right? So we carry on playing. We get back up on the stage. Well, the corner that we're playing in. I'm going to skip to the end of his story, but it's not. There's another mental thing that happens in the middle, which I will get back to. But I'm going to skip to the end just for consistency.
Okay.
I'm going to stick to his story for a second. So we finished.
He weaves such beautiful narratives.
So
it's like listening to Joyce. I feel like I'm listening to a reading of the dead.
So I went outside. So a lot of the stuff that I'm about to tell you in a sec happened, and I like left the bar just like, what is this gig tonight? Like, and like the Paddy that was playing with me, the drummer, was just like, he was like, "That was really nice until about 20 minutes before the end," and then it was like nothing I've ever experienced. He was like, "What the fuck was that?" And I was like, "Man, I don't know." And he came up to us while we were taking our gear down. And he was really nice. He was like, "I was being a dick earlier, man." He's like, "I'm really sorry." And I was like, "Man, don't worry about it. It's grand. Honestly, it's all good. Maybe it was just a misunderstanding." I was like, "But it's all cool." I was like, "Everything's fine." And he was like, Yeah. It's just, I was like, "Oh, fucking hell, man." Every opportunity to just fuck off and just be sound and just leave me alone, man. Like, just fucking leave me alone. You just couldn't fucking help it. And I know where this cunt works because he fucking told me, and I'm going to turn up to his job and just be like, "No, you can tell me to fuck off." But anyway. So Paddy had spotted him on the break prior and was kind of like, as he started walking over, was like, oh, this fucking guy. But then it seemed like everything was grand and he was kind of going, he's like, do you want me to help you with your leads and all this sort of stuff? And I was like, no, you're fine. I'm trying to be, diplomatic or whatever. Just like, no, it's all good, man. Just go back and enjoy your night. Thinking we'd wrapped it all up and it was all good. And he did kind of carry on trying to say the same thing. But I kept just kind of going like, yeah, I'll be back in a sec there. Just need to go. And he eventually left, right? I then load all my gear out and I need to piss, right? So I come back in one last time and he's sitting in the smoking area. And he's obviously had a few more now. And so he starts trying to say something to me. And I'm like, I know where this is going again, and I don't want to stand here chatting to him, but I don't want to be rude because he does say. And I also, to be fair, because of where he said he worked, I was like, I probably know people that this guy knows, so I don't want to like be a total cunt about it. So if I can maybe just try and smooth it over, if there's an opportunity to do so, I feel like that would be a better way to leave it.
Very noble of you.
Thank you. So I know I'm thanking them. They haven't said anything. So he started saying something and I goes, where did you say you were from again, man? And he just went, don't fucking patronize me. He was like, I don't give a fuck. You don't give a fuck where I'm from. And I was just like, fuck me, right? Okay. And he was getting really fucking like, I don't know what happened in the meantime, because the last time I had spoken to him, it was just like, cool, man, have a good night. And he was like, absolutely, I'm sorry about that earlier. And that was the last thing I had said to him. He was like, don't fucking patronize me. And I was like, I'm not trying to patronize you, man, but if we can kind of call it what it is, you're being a dickhead, like, and I'm trying to be nice about you being a dickhead. So, and he was like, what did you get in there tonight, money wise? And I told him.
Cool question, man.
Cool question, man. And I said, I told him, and he goes, do you really think you deserve that?
Finally, somebody had the balls to say it to you.
And I was like, yeah, I think we did, yeah. And he's like, you think you deserve that for fucking 20 minutes of music? And I was like, so, you're just making shit up, man. I was like, it wasn't 20 minutes of music. I'm not going to stand here and fucking argue for how long we played. I was like, but it wasn't 20 minutes. If you're trying to say that if you added up all the songs we played, that it would be 20 minutes, that would mean we played 4 songs, and I know we didn't. So like, I'm not even going to fucking talk about that. And he was just like, you have a lot of work to do, man, if you ever want to make it in this business. And I was like, okay, well, like, what do you think making it means for, like, why do you think I'm here, out of interest? And he was like, you're here to light a fire under the bar, man. You need to get people out of their seats. You need to, just giving it all this fucking chat, like, just nonsense. And I was like, okay. I was like, that's one way of looking at it. I was like, I'll tell you why I'm here though, is to pay my bills. And I was like, and that's what I did tonight. So I would count that as a roaring success. And he was like, is that the only reason you're here? Money, is it? I was like, yeah. Why do you go to work? Like, I don't understand that at all. And he was like, man.
You need to be in it for the love of it, man.
Oh, nonsense. Nonsense.
It is nonsense.
Yeah, I'd be in my own music for the love of it. That's why, you have to be in that stuff for
Yeah.
the love of it, but not the fucking, not a gig in a bar. Like,
Yeah.
But, and then his mate came out, who I had seen at one of the Thursdays, and he was just coming out for a cigarette, and he like walked up and was like, oh, hey man, I really enjoyed that earlier. And I was like, see? I was like, normal person saying nice.
Plant.
You come out now in about 3.5 minutes, right?
When I've got him really riled up.
And
I'm going to plead complete innocence.
So he goes, he was like, I really enjoyed that. And I was like, thank you. Cheers. And I made like a very obvious kind of point of being like, thank you for your kind and all that's necessary, all that's necessary words. But then his mate was saying back to me, he was like, oh, you think that was good, do you? And he was just like, what have I walked into? He was like, yeah. And I was like, is this your mate, is it? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, he's a fucking cool guy, man. And then he had the look of, oh, he's doing it again. And then his mate kept literally like, I mean, it got worse and worse and worse the further away from me he got. Like, he was just like saying some of the wildest shit. And then his mate actually stopped like halfway between the two of us and turned back and was like, he's like, I'm really sorry with this. He's like, he's actually a really nice guy, but he does this to everyone he meets, no matter what they do for a living, the first time he meets them.
No, that's a strange character quirk.
And I was like, he was trying to tell me what I do, like, and how I need. And I was like, what do you do? He's like, I'm an accountant. And I was like, great. You're doing this for the money, are you?
Literally, yes.
It's literally what I'm obsessed with, and maths. But so that was mad. That was fucking mad. That was. Yeah, and I know where he works, and I know that there's a really good chance that there's a friend of ours that I know with almost a 99% of certainty that will know him, and I just want to end up in his company again. Mm-hmm. Just
let's have him on.
Yeah, let's get him on the podcast, and he can tell me all about how I can do really well at playing gigs and bars. But just like don't do that. If anyone ever has I think in any job. Unless, like...
Who goes up to somebody doing their job and goes...
Do you know what you need to do?
Work harder.
Yeah. Like...
So, like, when you break it down like that, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's really silly. Like.
And I felt like... I definitely came back hard at him, but I felt like I also gave him like, every opportunity to, like, it not to go that way. And he just kept going. And I don't know if it's just... Maybe, I don't know, maybe folks that are listening could tell us like who like don't work in music or like a creative thing. Does this happen to everyone all the time? I just feel like it happens. There's something about music where everyone thinks they know what to do. Now, fair play, like he kind of slightly works in music.
There's a romanticism innately attached to music that the general populace are kind of enamored with, this kind of romanticism of these are the kind of outsider artists on the fringes of society, struggling for their art. You know, and then every so often one rises to the surface, gets idolized and crucified. All that fucking, just that whole fucking shtick. It trickles down to bar work.
So crap.
And it's always the biggest thatched head idiot fucking.
Do you know who he looked like? Literally like a southern version of, like, just he looked like the resemblance was uncanny, so much so that until he opened his mouth, I thought that they had to be related. But he's the head of a Junior Johnson. He looked exactly like him.
By the way, passes on his congratulations. He messaged me.
Thanks, Junior.
The other day.
Cheers.
So
I love him.
He's a great lad.
He's such a. We should have him on here.
Yeah.
I think that'd be great.
I would love that.
I'd love that. He's a great man for a chat. He's a great. He put a fucking amazing comment into. Are you like in any of those like NI like music or like NI?
Probably, but I don't really fucking look at them.
They kind of come up on my thing the odd time, but just like it's the kind of stuff that like unless you know him and you can read it like in his voice, you might read it and be like, who the fuck is this guy?
Yeah.
But he put up a post and he was like, does anyone know what the best way to go about promoting like a new country band or something, or like a folk band or something for like kind of, I think it was angled at like corporate works or like like, you know, pubs and venues, weddings, that sort of stuff. But there was like a line in it where he said like it was essentially like we're the best band in the entire world, and do you want more money or do you have enough? Like you know what I mean? It was just amazingly phrased. I wish I could remember exactly how he said it, but it was so good. And it was just like, I love that fucking like confidence, just being like, oh, we're really good, so how can we make money, please? Like, not enough people carry on that way, and I think you should, like, and there's plenty of people who shouldn't. But I didn't mean to. I felt like I pointed at you when I said that, which is, I was just pointing into the world. But yeah, should we come back to the other one?
I think
or
so.
should we just get it out of the way?
Well,
it's up to you.
I can't really see how long that was.
Oh yeah,
but I can tell you how long it felt.
You need to get back gigging.
I'm game to keep going if you are.
You need to get back.
I don't
gigging.
think I can face a fucking pub gig again. You know.
I just need you to do it so you bring stories as well, and people are rude to you.
Well, I have plenty of people fucking rude to me in work, but I feel one. My friend, who is also my boss, listens to this.
He knew what he was signing up for.
So there's a confusing and awkward dynamic to our friendship now. That I'm sure he'll agree. It's the truth.
Yeah.
No, it's not really. It's actually Graham. But no, I don't like because I don't like talking about how people have rubbed me up the wrong way, especially if I'm working for my mate's business. You know,
Yeah.
It just feels like bad form. But let me tell you, Nathan, they do.
Plenty of them.
Very demanding people at times in the world who don't understand.
There was a thing.
I don't understand how websites are built, but I know it's not as easy as it looks.
Squarespace can fuck off.
That's essentially the general tone of my emails. I'm sorry, Darn. Please don't fire me. I really need this.
I remember there was a thing, and we can cut this out if it isn't appropriate to talk about. But there was a thing you said to me, which I think is quite a broad thing that maybe a lot of people would probably relate to. You said that you had made like a decision or like a kind of a concerted effort, I think, to kind of keep your hours, you know, specifically to work because of the specific thing of someone or people in general always marking emails as urgent.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
No matter what it was about.
Yeah.
And I think that's really interesting. I've definitely done that as well.
It's
probably not urgent.
It's really frustrating. It's really frustrating.
It's got to be an awful way to start your fucking morning. Like,
a guy ringing it off the hook to the point where we actually couldn't ring him back because you know he was blocking the lines and urgent emails come through, and it wasn't an urgent issue at all. And just like there's been a couple of times where I've woken up and the first thing you'll see is a notification on your phone. It's like urgent.
Yeah.
And then you go on and goes, there's a digit wrong in our contact number or something. You're like, cool. That's a way to start my day off on the worst foot possible. You know?
The shop hasn't opened yet, but yeah. We're not a business that exists yet, but we're getting all the groundwork done.
But it's grand. It's like.
There should be levels of words you could use.
Yeah.
You know, like I understand the desire to want to make sure that your email is seen if you have a concern or if you had a need, you know, maybe from prior experience with other people or something that like they said that they were missing your emails or something.
It's like if you give an inch, they take a mile. It's all about setting expectations and setting boundaries.
Yeah. If there was a word between like don't worry about this at all and urgent, just like I would appreciate if you read this, but it's a bit wordy for a subject line, isn't it? That's where urgent really, really knocks down the other ones. It's just like, it's to the point. It's like, read me.
Especially if you put it in capitals. Like.
Yeah.
It's a good way to ruin your morning.
Yeah,
you wake up and that's the first thing you see.
I sent an email the other day with urgent, and I was thinking about you when I did
I'm like, I've been needing to piss for 8 hours, but I've been too lazy to get out of bed. That's urgent.
I hope you've responded to that. Now what the fuck is it? I sent an email the other day that was marked urgent because I had this thing happen, which seems so consistent sometimes when dealing with the council, which is that, you know, they're all fucking quick to answer their calls and shit whenever they want to book you for something, and then when it comes to getting paid, they like to take their fucking time. And the short version of it is that the guy who told me every week for the last 3 months.
Is that flickering?
I did think that actually a little, but I think we're okay.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. Basically just had a fella like telling me like every week for about 3 months that, it was an invoice. It was like, I've sent that invoice in and I'll chase it up today and all that. And then eventually I just lost the rag and was like, can you just give me the number or the email address of the person who you're trying to get a hold of? And I'll deal with this myself. And he just, no reply, just literally just the email back. And she got back in like 30 seconds. I mean, literally. And was just like, I'm so sorry to hear about this. And sorted it out in 2 seconds. So, maybe it's not the council. It's just some people individually are terrible.
You
but
really have it in for the council these days.
It just always seems to be who I have to deal with.
What a council tout.
Sort out your dumps. Sort out your fucking. But yeah, I hate that. I remember.
You're the reason for the signs. It's starting to become abundantly clear.
Please keep your emails diplomatic. That'd be a better sign. Please keep your complaints to a certain level of decorum. I'm going to put the timer up on this because it's stressing me out that we don't know how long we're...
Cool, well, I'm going to do a bit of advertising while I'm here. I found a load of t-shirts that we still have for sale. So we'll get them up soon. Very nice, huh? Look at this. This is, I mean, I could have ironed it probably, but who has the time? This was designed by, what?
Is it Oren Iron?
Oren Iron. This is designed by Thomas Bannon, who also designed the next product for sale that we'll see. But yeah, there's plenty of these in a variety of sizes. We'll do you a good deal. Tell him Mick sent you.
Which is just recommended retail price.
And then Thomas, also friend of the show, Thomas Bannon, who's just fucking an unreal guitar player as well. Every time I see him play guitar, I'm like, fucking hell, I wish I could play like that.
Yeah, he's very good.
Yeah. And his music is Tommy Jag, if you want to check it out as well. It's deadly. But
absolutely.
Last year, we designed these postcards.
I really love these.
Merry Bloody Christmas. And I'm selling them again this year due to vastly overestimating the popularity of them last year. So you have...
is there a couple of ones we could...
Yeah, you have a choice of three. I'll let you read that one out.
Okay. Oh, I like this one. So for anyone who wants to see, that's a picture. I'm going to cover the writing, but that's because in case I spoil the surprise. Sorry. There's a picture of a man outside a house looking in at a Christmas tree at I'm assuming like a wife and child sort of situation.
Yes.
And it says, "Merry bloody Christmas. Why does the tree have to be so big and inside with my family? It should be me who is big and inside with these idiots. What are they trying to prove?"
I have one here that says...
Imagine getting that. Was this in Hallmark?
And this one here has a nice picture of a nice Christmas turkey. And it says, "Merry bloody Christmas. I have been taking the turkey out of the freezer since November and screaming into it. Enjoy eating my screams and have a happy new year."
That's my favourite.
And finally we have, "Merry bloody Christmas. I've got you a game of Buckaroo. The donkey is missing, but it works fine."
How many of those kind of like off the cuff things do you think you have?
Oh, I had loads of them. I think I had loads of them, maybe.
You should make a book, like a calendar or like a book or something.
I would love to do that.
That'd be
I love trying to find the weirdest sentence construction, like the most misleading sentence construction.
I think
that shit really makes me laugh. That's why I love Facebook and I love those like Facebook comments.
Yeah.
Because people really do just type as they're thinking and hit enter, and it's sometimes just beautiful poetry.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
abstract nonsense.
Absolutely, yeah. I think, and you parody it so well.
It's beautiful. It's poetry.
Absolutely. It's funny because it's like now you like avoid those things, but you must have spent enough time not avoiding them for years to have built up such an I suppose sadly a lot of these people aren't very nuanced, but like you've got such a like nail on the head understanding of how to voice that way, you know, like how to voice yourself in that manner. Like it's fucking so funny. I love when I find one on Belfast Live and there's people commenting under it who don't know that it's a joke. That is like the best joke. Like when it's just so fucking convincing that they're like, here's someone who's like me. I agree. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just like, sorry to hear about your wife.
I can never really figure out how to translate that away from like Facebook comments, and
I think it's okay that it just kind of like lives there. I
think the closest thing I've ever kind of outside of it is that Mo Farah's ostrich farm thing. The advertisement for Mo Farah's.
Yeah.
Not the Mo Farah Olympic athlete Mo Farah, just a guy called Mo Farah.
I think the only thing that ever comes to mind whenever because you were talking for a while about like how to expand upon that essentially, like a what's the name of that book that I read? It's like it's on time. Adrian Mole. Do you remember that like diary?
I never read them, but I know it.
It's just like, it's not really. I don't mean this for the quality of the book, but just more the style in which it was written. I think that would work really well for like that style of rambling. You know what I mean? Just like I think that'd be really enjoyable.
The newsletters that I did last year were a good bit of fun. Do you remember mine them? I've still a couple of copies of them left.
Yeah. I think they're fucking great, man. I just more and more of it, please.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
The thing is, I'm fucking. I think I need to start meditating. I need to meditate because, like, the full-time job it's 4 days a week now, but it just takes up a while.
What are you, Swedish?
It just takes up. It was terrible.
Yeah.
Thought you said it couldn't get any worse.
But they do that, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Scotland.
So the joke's on
as
us.
well. But that just takes up a lot of brain space, and then like, obviously, then we have this, which takes up the whole of Tuesday evening, and then
It's flickering.
trying to fit in actual writing commissions. It's hard to find time to. Fuck me. I don't know. I feel lost for time. Although I did get a nice long weekend of doing fuck all and resting. Long overdue, but like today I just felt like it was right back at it again. I was like, fuck, there's so much shit on.
Yeah. Well,
And nothing really to show for it. It's just continuous. I can't read books when I'm writing because you're constantly reading as you're. I can watch TV all fucking day.
Yeah.
But because you're constantly writing, you're constantly reading. And it's just a fucking. My brain is exhausted at the end of the day, so I think I need to start meditating. Just make some.
Yeah, man, give it a go.
Space.
I
just get so bored.
Just meditating, just lying there breathing. I used a really good app for a while, which you can get free. If you just email them or something, but it's called Waking Up.
I mean, I think we've had this conversation before. We're bound to have had this. Where I coming back to me coming back to my inability to meditate.
I don't actually remember that specifically. I remember you saying.
I think we were talking about Headspace.
Yes, that was only recently. Now, to be fair, yeah. It is like it's one of those things that it's just like that you see the people at the other end of it, and you're like, I want that, but I don't want to work for it because a lot of.
I'm hearing you, and you're saying DMT,
loud and clear.
But the fucking the radio pilot's going really well.
Class.
Fucking having so much fun. This thing.
In the
making
throes of
this
it.
thing with Philly has been a fucking amazing experience because just the two of us been making each other laugh our whole lives. Now we're getting fucking paid to do it.
Yeah.
And we got some fucking amazing performers in who are doing a bit of writing as well and got the first glimpse of their sketches and we're like, this is going to be really good.
Great, man.
So
are you
fucking
down
excited.
Are you down as far as recording any of it?
Recording will be in the new year, first couple of weeks.
So
of
you're
January.
just in writing and you're just going to do it all together?
Yeah.
Cool. Class. That's class, man.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really good.
Do you have to get 6 episodes done before you go,
No,
go
just
into
the one.
record or
Just
something?
the one. Put everything into this one and then they decide whether or not they want to commission a series.
Brilliant.
Well, that's usually the way things go.
How long is the episode going to be?
About 25 minutes, maybe.
How many sketches is that?
It could really depend on the length. You know, you could get a load of quick fire ones and a couple of kind of medium length ones. I don't think there'll be any longer than 3 minutes, 4 minutes.
Yeah. So you're talking 10 maybe to pick from.
Maybe more, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Class.
Yeah, it's
exciting, man.
Yeah, I'm really excited for it. I wish we could just be recording it now. It's that sort of.
Yeah.
You know.
You could probably be doing drafts of it as you go.
No, I think because the fun it really comes together in the edit. I find they really come together in the edit and really quickly too. And you can just I have so much fucking fun editing those sketches.
Yeah.
I could spend if I had 3 weeks where it's that's what you're doing from 9 o'clock to 5 o'clock every day. I'd be so fucking happy.
Gotta be a way to do that, man.
Hopefully in some point in the future.
Yeah, I'd say it's a fairly realistic expectation. You know what I mean? Yeah. People have been paid for less. There's bound to be some reason that out in the world there somewhere.
I know a sound engineer who would say just that about a certain guy I know.
Isn't it funny though?
20 minutes work, apparently.
Apparently so, yeah. But no, I think that's a totally achievable goal.
Yeah,
I think so, man. I think you're really fucking good at it. Actually, someone I've always said all those audio sketches that you send through, even just for the writing prompts at the end of the podcast, I always really enjoyed it because it's like a reason that I could never really get into audiobooks. It was just the ones I maybe chose maybe were the problem. I don't know, but the ones that I did listen to, it was just someone reading the story, just in a well isolated fucking vocal booth or something. But having the sound design in the background and
it's the most fun part. To me, it's how immersive can you get?
I
in
still
the world?
think that the Merlin one
Yeah, that's one of my.
It's so fucking funny. Like,
Oh, we'll have to find the link to that episode. That's a while back now,
it was
isn't
so
it?
fucking good, man.
It's
yeah.
one of my favorite things I've done. Actually, that
It was really good. It was mental. It was so fucking mental, but it was so funny. Like, I remember just dying laughing listening. I was just like, "What the fuck is this?"
Well, when I submit this pilot, we'll get back doing those things.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. I wonder how could we do those to translate onto YouTube?
We have a green screen here.
Right, we have a puppet shows. My God,
Get the puppet out.
absolutely. Yeah,
Fucking hell.
we'll get Shailene to make us more
We could
puppets.
pivot to kids podcast as well. Like
Now, when I'm uploading, I can say this is made for kids.
this fucking foul mouth puppet.
Fuck, fuck, fuck,
Knock
fuck.
off Avenue Q. Fuck me, it's cold. I'm so fucking freezing.
Yeah, it's kind of coming in and out of me.
Yeah.
Oddly enough. But yeah.
It's frustrating as well because I really want to keep talking about that, but it's like so far from anybody getting to hear it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well,
That I feel like I'm just kind of filling the air.
no.
Lest you tell another story about an altercation you had in the Jagging Hill.
There is one.
You want to go for it?
Let's do it. I don't even know how I feel about this. Actually, it was actually kind of like. I'll just tell the story, very quick. It's not as long as the others. So what happened was.
You missed out there, audio losers.
It was a wee
A
handhold
great bit of visual comedy there.
for the ages.
I need to stop referring to them as audio losers. That's a way to really
They're like, is that right? Well, do you know what I'm gonna do? Not listen anymore.
alienate the core fan base.
We were playing away. There was a table in the corner opposite us, and it was like 3 people in probably over 60, and then there was one woman who was, I don't know. She honestly looked like she could have been anything from like mid-20s to late 40s. I couldn't place her at all, but anyway, irrelevant. Wouldn't be like me. But so there was 2 things happen. One is like always happens at every gig that I do when there's not a stage, and if we're playing upbeat music, which is that a very well intentioned, very drunk, in this case girl, but it's never exclusive, was just dancing too close to us, and she kept hitting my microphone.
Oh fuck!
And it was just really annoying.
It's a very quick way to get a broken front tooth. Like
You want to see her fucking tooth after me? Like, that's not what she meant. Sorry. Yeah, it is though, and it's really sore, and it's really fucking annoying, and I can't play through it. If it like, do you know what it is? It's like if you bumped into, I just feel like I would know if I did that,
yeah.
and then I would immediately be like, oh, sorry, I've bumped into something. But people don't seem to do that, and I understand like when you're drunk or whatever, fair enough. But like you'd still know if something was touching you, like literally just like up against it, like that's the end of the microphone stand, and she was just consistently just like moving against it, and you're just like, you have to be able to feel this, like. But and then Gareth was playing bass, and he had all his pedals like on the table. So we just the way we'd set up the tables, there was tables kind of like in front of him and around him in like an L, and he had his pedals up on top of that. And then people just started putting their drinks like on the table next to it, and then also dancing essentially like against the table. And we were playing Call Me Al, and I just stopped the song. I was like, stop. I was like, guys, I'm glad you're having a good time. Can you just move over there, please? And definitely move the drinks, because there's like a load of gear here, blah, blah, blah. While this is happening, the woman that was at that table in the corner, the younger one, had made her way up, like standing next to me. And she kept like, this sounds rude, but I was just kind of like, because of her manner, she kept kind of like starting to say something and then stopping and then starting to say something and then stopping, but like never even enough to like latch onto it. Just I couldn't figure out what she was trying to say, and we had like 3 songs left, and I was just going like, I'm just gonna fucking hopefully just she'll go away, because she was already kind of annoying me, just the way she was carrying on. She kept kind of going like, excuse me, and then I'd look and then she'd say nothing, and then I was just like, fucking right. Anyway, but she was just hovering there, and it was getting to the point where we were about to start another song, and I was just like, right, I need her to actually get it, because we were like, so if we were like here, and then the entrance like for the bar staff to get in was like right here, and she was standing right in the way, so I was just like, right, well, she's gonna have to move now, so I'm gonna see what the problem is. So I'm tuning my guitar, like this.
Taking your sweet time, so I hear as well.
I'm taking at least 7 to 8 minutes tuning my guitar, and she's like there. And so I just turn my head and say, as I often do to anyone, which is, I'm going to explain the oddly a thing that I never thought in my life I would ever have to explain, but I will explain in a second. So I turn to her and go, "Are you all right, girl?" And she goes, and I was like, "Are you okay?" And she was like, "I'm fine." Now, the look on her face I could only describe as excitement. It was mental. I've never seen like a look on someone's face like it. She was like, "I'm fine, guy." And I was like, no, for a moment I was like, oh shit, is that not like what she identifies as? And I've like misgendered her. And so I goes, "Oh, I'm sorry. I was like, are you a woman?" And she goes, "Yeah." And so then I was back to going, right, well, I don't understand what's happening now then. And I was like, now, to be clear, in that moment, like, so maybe I'll take this as the opportunity to explain. I'm from Cork. People from Cork speak like that. And that's like all my family growing up, my entire life. If you came up to me, I'd be like, "You're right, boy." And if a girl came up to me, I'd be like, "Are you all right, girl?" I say it to everybody. I have done my entire life. So that's why I say that. There's no thought goes into it. It's just like, hello. That's my way of saying hello. It's never been a problem. So she was like, so then she said, "Yeah, I am a woman." And I goes, "Right." I was like, "Okay." I was like, "Are you okay?" I was like, "Are you requesting a song, or like you came up to ask me something?" I was like, what is it?" And she was like, and she just kept just like looking at me. She was like, I'm all right, guy." And I was like, right, I can kind of see what you're trying to get at here now. But I was like, I don't really think you're making the point you're making, because it doesn't bother me. I was like, do you want a song requested or what? Like, I was just trying really hard to like not jump into anything here, because it was just like, I've obviously said something to offend her, and it wasn't intentional. So it was fairly like innocuous throwaway sort of a statement that I felt like, I would say to anybody at all. While this is happening, everyone who had been dancing had like ground to a halt. The whole bar had ground to a halt. It was almost like there was like a record scratch. I know everybody is like staring. And so she was like, "How dare you?" And I was like, I don't know what to say here. I was like, this is just a thing that I say. I didn't mean to cause any offense, but I've said it. So I'm sorry. What would you like played? Is there a request coming? Did you have a reason for being here a minute ago? And she kept just going. And so then at this point, the people that were behind her, I could hear going, sorry. So she then goes, no, doesn't matter. Go fuck yourself. And then starts like giving me the finger and just starts calling me a misogynistic cunt, like screaming at the top of her voice. And so then at this point, everyone in the bar that had been dancing start going, "Oh, what's that about?" And then like I'm like hearing all these conversations, and so I hear people going like, "What's that about?" And they're like, "Oh, I don't know, but he must have done something because she's really upset." And they were like, "Oh, well, we better fuck off then," like, and all this kind of stuff, and like going like, and I was just like, "Hey, I didn't do anything. Like, nothing happened. I think this is just a drunk person that is just taking exception to literally nothing as far as I can tell." And but she was just like, she spent the rest like, so we had about 3 or 4 songs, well, time, to play about 3 or 4 songs, which with me is about an hour and a half. So, and I kept just kind of going like, "Oh, I'll maybe it'll just blow over." But the entire way through the next tune, she just fucking screamed at me, like, and just like, and everybody was like looking at me like this, and I was just like, I didn't fucking do anything. Oh my goodness, like, is this how you end up on fucking Belfast Live or something, and you've no idea how you've ended up there? Is Stephen Nolan going to call me in the morning about this? I was like, fuck me, like. So then we just finished the song we were playing, and I was just like, right, that's it, and just fucking packed up my gear. But I was just like, it was one of the most mind-boggling experiences I've ever had. Like, I didn't know. I've never heard anyone tell me that that's misogynistic to fucking say "you're right, girl" to someone, or "you're right, boy." You know, like it's just the way I talk. Like, and it's never happened, and I don't know if I should change it.
You've never had an issue before?
Yeah.
It's, as you say, from your own experience, it's a case of a drunken punter.
Yeah.
As
But the thing that, I guess the thing that like was staying with me was just like all the other people in the bar who were less drunk left thinking that I had done something terrible, but they didn't exactly know what it was. But they were just sure by her reaction that I must be a cunt. And I was just like, but I didn't fucking do anything. Like, and they were all like, sure you didn't, you know, and like this kind of stuff. And I was just like, right, well, I guess I'm just gonna go fuck off home then and just fucking and then I went outside to that guy. As if it couldn't get any worse.
oh man.
It was a fucking awful night, man. I don't know what I did to deserve that. But it was a fucking... I haven't been that stressed in so long. Like, everyone...
Nathan, that sounds like a horrible night, and I'm sorry you went through it, and you don't deserve it.
Thank you. That's all I wanted.
And if you want me, I think you're a very nice person, and I think I don't know what it is. It's just the industry that you're in. You attract the girls, but as I say, you put all your cards on the table, and I'll always respect you for that.
That's all I've ever wanted. I don't need to tell any more of these stories. I've done it. I appreciate that. Thank you. You be caught in the hop sometimes with when those things happen. You just don't know. You're like, am I wrong here? Am I old-fashioned or something?
I think it's a good inclination to have to be self-critical and just not be like, no, you know, just even as a thought exercise, you know. But I think you always know in yourself where you're like,
surely the intent.
Intent. Like, I don't know you as a person who's that way inclined, you know.
Yeah, not publicly anyway.
Not
like,
publicly.
Yeah,
no.
I always say
But
that.
the
Like,
things
once-
you say when the
But
mics are cold.
But I am a professional if nothing else. Yeah, it was one of my... I said top 3 earlier. I think it was the worst, at least in the last 2 years. You know what I mean? Because there wasn't. Yeah, it was fucking awful. But I'm going to definitely chalk it down to just, I don't know, a full moon or something mad going on in the air that night, because I've never had any fucking hassle up there. I remember looking at the bouncers as well, who watched all of this unfold and was like, when do you do any work? Or it's just like, what is the line for you fellas to kind of go, oh, that's enough now? Whatever about your man, that was a spirited debate, I'll say, but she was literally screaming at me and I was just like...
I think you should just adopt a sorry I don't speak English approach for between songs, and just stick to that. Okay, stick to that, and I think you'll be all right.
That's honestly the best advice I've ever been given. I think that might actually solve a lot of my problems. Yeah. Cool. What?
I think your big mistake, other than laying all your cards on the table, is your willingness to engage.
Yeah, that is probably true. I probably would have an easier night a lot of the time if I just let things go, but I don't do that, do I?
There's something you said. It was during lockdown. You were talking about something that was said during one of your counselling sessions. Was that your counsellor said that you had like this almost like a complex to show the right way of doing things. Like I think it was called a savior complex.
It was something like that. She did say I can't remember how she phrased it, but it was the gist of it was that like I have a problem letting go of what I deem to be like injustice.
Yeah. Which, see, to be honest with you, like as a quality to have in a person, like it's a good energy to have.
The problem is though, it's whatever I deem to be injustice.
Yeah. It's inward looking.
It's like, how does this affect me?
This isn't We Are the World. Like
it's I am the world.
I am the world.
I am the world. I am the children.
The reason I'm still here is because broadly speaking, I usually think you're on the right side of things.
I'm glad you think so. Because sometimes I doubt that.
But
sometimes I think you're just here for the carnage.
Most of the time I just take exception of how you deliver it. Now I have to listen to it every week.
Well, that's a you problem. You signed the contract. Class. Well, there's another counselling session done. We've done it.
No, Nathan, you did it.
I did it. Will we power down for another week?
Do you want to do another one, or do you want to?
No, that's what I mean.
Oh yeah.
I'm probably piss is what I mean, and then come back and record next week's episode.
Cool.
Which will be probably February at this point before anybody sees this, and they'll be like, probably people will be at the beach, and we're just sitting here like fucking.
I got into the sea at April last year. Do you
Have
ever
you been?
notice? I really fucking struggle with I can't even remember the term for them now.
Goggles.
It's not prepositions. Like, I always mix them up. It's like Orla always says, I think on something rather than think about something. You know, like those.
I think that is a preposition.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Like I just said, I got in the sea at April last year. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I
yeah,
always do it. I've a while. It's something
I don't even notice it now that you.
I noticed it a while out myself, just in general conversation. It's why I always end up stuttering over myself, because I get them wrong, and then I'm like, you idiot. This sounded like gold in your head, and you've fallen at the most basic hurdle. Sentence structure, man.
Absolutely, yeah. And I mean, it's probably a pretty important aspect of your job too.
I know. And see all the time to write it down, and
that's true.
you know, it's more fluid actually.
Yeah.
I think more fluidly when I'm writing rather than.
Yeah.
I become hyper aware of the sound of my own voice.
And Grammarly helps. Just because I think you mean on. You go, thank you, Grammarly.
Anyway, thanks for a wee surprise grammar corner there.
Yeah.
We'll see you next week.
I hope you all enjoyed that.
Whatever that was.
And sir, if you're listening, I know where you work, and I will be showing up to your place of work sometime in the future, just with no real particular agenda, just...
And madam, if you're listening, Nathan O'Regan is a lot of things. He might be a communist. He might be a pervert.
Yeah. Wait.